Hello everyone and welcome to Veteran Gaming. I am Aaron and today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And we're going to be talking about the Separatist faction, a very vital, important, and fun faction inside of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. This is going to be a general guide to kind of explain some of the characters, who's needed for what, how much gear you want to throw into them so you're not wasting gear, and it's also going to explain the modding that is currently best for each character. Now, as you can see on the screen here, a lot of these characters are utilized. I mean, they go from Galactic Legends to Legendaries. We're talking Padme.
I call it aggressive negotiations.
Jedi Master Kenobi.
Hello there.
Lord Vader.
Don't make me kill you.
General Anakin Skywalker.
It was a decorated general with a heart of gold.
Sith Eternal. I mean, these guys are needed for everyone, which is why you can see Relicum, Gear 12. It's really hard to go wrong with this faction. So we're going to go ahead and dive in here. This is going to be a little bit free-to-play focused, but remember, if you are playing to play this game here and there, that's fine too. You can kind of jump around a little bit more, just gives you a little bit more freedom. So, as always, pick the characters you want, play who you enjoy playing, but this is going to give you a little bit of an idea maybe who you should aim for first, who's a little bit more in-game viable, but it also depends on which kind of characters, Galactic Legends and Legendaries you're going for. So we're going to start with some of our more random Separatists that kind of fill in here and there, and then we'll build into the two more recognized teams of the Bugs and the Droids. So here we go. So we'll start with Asajj Ventress, who does have a Separatist tag, even though you're pretty much never going to see her with the Separatists, maybe in some 3v3 type stuff, but she's much stronger with the Night Sisters. Her Rampage here even now has a Grand Arena Omicron for the Night Sisters. She does have a nice ability here on her special, which is Dispel all buffs on all enemies, which can be used across the board. But she's really not used with Separatists that often. She is farmed from the Squad Arena store, so she is a very easy farm, which is nice. She is required for the gas event. She's recommended for Relic 3. I have gas, and as you can see, I only have her at Gear 10 because the only requirement is, I think, 17,000 or 17,500. So I let my droids carry me through that event. I didn't put as much into her because I do not run a Night Sister team. But she is a very, very important character for the Night Sisters. So if you're intending to take a team of Night Sisters down the road, then you can put a little bit more gear into her. I just don't have a Night Sister team, so I haven't dumped those resources into her. As you can see, for her mods, she's typically run with crit damage and health. As you can see here, typically speed, crit damage on the triangle, offense on the cross, health on the circle, and then your defense and offense, which is always non-negotiable. So, there is Asajj Ventress. She has a Separatist tag, typically not paired with them, which is why I kind of threw her in here first as a little bit of a curveball. But we'll go ahead and move on. Moving on, we have Jango Fett, who has, as you can see, every tag under the sun. This dude is very versatile, hits like a truck.
You know, this guy, he hit like truck, you know, like nobody hit harder.
Fun character to play, just really awesome across the board. He is farmable kind of late in the game at 8D hard, but he also has boss ship, the Houndstooth, crazy important ship in the game, so it's an awesome node to farm. So even though he's a little bit later, he is very, very important. We also have him at Relic 7 because he is needed at Relic 7 for Jedi Master Kenobi. As you can see here, he's typically run with crit damage and crit chance. We got speed on the arrow, crit damage on the triangle, offense on our cross, protection on our circle, defense and offense as always. If you haven't seen my Bounty Hunter video, I talk about him quite a bit in the Bounty Hunter video also because he typically runs with a Bounty Hunter team, but he can be absolutely outstanding, especially in 3v3. Newt Gunray lead with Jango and like Enfys Nest is an absolutely titanic team. that is almost impossible to take out when placed on defense without throwing something huge at it. So, really solid character, runs with the Separatist tag as well as other tags really well. Throw gear into him. Not only is he a great character that hits like a truck, but you also need him at Relic 7 for Jedi Master Kenobi, who is absolutely outstanding as well. So, find Jango, get Jango, let's move on. And here we have Count Dooku, who's a very, very serious man.
But you have elected the way of pain!
He is a seriously fun and annoying character when you're against him, though. Most of it centers around the fact of Flawless Riposte, which is 100% counter chance, and when he attacks out of turn, 30% more damage, gains 15% turn meter, recovers 15% protection, and gains critical hit immunity for 1 turn. And when you have Master Makashi on, he's also ignoring protection and just hitting the health. This dude can solo teams. He is really fun to play. He is needed for Relic 6 at Sith Eternal, which is where I have him, but he's also needed at Relic 8 for Lord Vader. So, you can dump gear into this guy. He is outstanding. It won't go to waste. He is farmed fairly early right here on 1C hard mode dark side, and you can pick up some extra shards later on at Cantina 6G. His mods, you're going to run potency and speed. So you got speed on the arrow, crit chance, potency, protection, defense, offense. You're going to want to run potency, mainly because his basic here has a chance to inflict stun and ability block, and Force Lightning will also stun and shock, which is nice. So you're going to want those debuffs to stick. You want to keep him up and running. He's going to shut down the other team. Really fun, really versatile as both a Separatist and a Sith, and he also actually has a lead that is Separatist focused, so he really helps in 3v3 situations. So, you can get him relatively easy. He's a very strong character. He's a very fun character. Make sure you're grabbing Count Dooku whenever you can. Now we'll bounce to Newt Gunray, who is an outstanding Separatist leader. His backroom subterfuge tag here, Separatist allies have 15% speed and potency for each enemy that has extortion. And of course, extortion is awesome. It inflicts speed down on all enemies, and if they remove extortion, you're recovering health, and then you're going to get 10% critical chance. He is really good at slowing down the other team, and to remove extortion,
is Wayne Brady gonna have to choke a bitch?
they have to use a turn, so they're not using another ability. So it's kind of an ability block paired in too. So he's a really good Separatist leader, especially early on, and you can definitely use him in 3v3 situations also, even though he doesn't fit into one of the most common Separatist teams you see out there. He is really, really good, really, really versatile. His Motivate can also do a full assist for Separatist characters on anyone that has extortion. Really good, really fun character. You can grab Newt, of course, from the Squad Arena store, which means he's also a very early farm, and he is needed at Relic 7 for Lord Vader. He is one of those characters I wish I had the ability to dump more gear into. He just hasn't fallen into my path that I'm on right now. So, throw gear into him, enjoy him. He is fun. It's not going to be a waste down the road. And modding, relatively normal. We got speed and potency. Speed on the arrow, crit damage on the triangle, potency on the cross, protection on the circle, and our non-negotiables. So, Newt Gunray, really strong leader, really versatile leader for the Separatist faction. You can throw him in with a wide variety of Separatists. He's really going to help you out. He's also really good at stealing banners on Grand Arena. So, make sure you're grabbing this guy when you can. To end our more random Separatist section here, we're going to talk about Wat Tambor, the ultimate wild card.
Wild card, bitches! Yeah!
This dude can fit in any team, even though he only has dark side support and Separatist tags. He goes first, and once you have him fully zated, he throws out a tech. It's really going to help your team. This guy and Sith Eternal run together all the time. Pair him any lineup, he's going to help. And you can throw some gear into him, take him all the way up to Relic 7 for Jedi Master Kenobi. It's kind of a bummer that you have to throw him all the way up to Relic 7 because typically characters that don't attack, Hermit Yoda, C-3PO, Wat Tambor, you don't want to throw that much gear into because all you really need him to do is stay alive for a little bit. But Jedi Master Kenobi is amazing, Wat Tambor is amazing, so I'm not going to consider it a total waste. His mods, you're going to run speed and health for the most part because even though he gets that first tech out automatically, you want him to get more tech out. So keep him fast. Speed, protection, potency, and health on top of your normal offense and defense. The really only downside to Wat Tambor is he is only unlocked through Dark Side Geonosian territory battle with a Geonosian team. So you have to have a guild that's high enough and you have to have your Geos high enough to get Wat Tambor unlocked. It's going to take a long time. So kind of a bummer there because not only does he lead to Jedi Master Kenobi, which you'd like to get earlier, but it's a bit of a chore getting him, and your guild can only get so many shards at a time, and you gotta wait for GOTB to come around, so it's a bit of a haul to get this character. But he is amazing. You do want him, so make sure you're working towards those teams to get him up there. The Geonosians, which is what we're going to talk about next. We're going to start our Geonosian or bug team with the Geonosian Soldier, who is a solid little character when paired with a Geonosian lineup. He's not typically used outside of that, even though he does have a Separatist tag. So, I have him at Gear 12. I have all of my bugs actually at Gear 12 because that's exactly what it took me to get the Wat Tambor event completed every single time. So, you can take them a little bit higher. Geo teams are used all the time, all over the place. They're solid on offense. They're solid on defense. You want to make sure you get Wat Tambor. They're just good characters all around, especially early on in Grand Arena. They are, until you get to a certain point, they are almost the meta just because they're fairly easy to farm. As you can see here, 1A Cantina battle. You can get this dude crazy early. He also has a ship, which is part of the Separatist lineup for the General Grievous capital ship, which is an outstanding fleet. For our mods here, we're talking crit chance, crit damage. We got speed on the arrow, crit damage, offense, protection, and then our typical offense and defense. So you can get this guy early. He's part of a super strong early team, the Bugs. Throw him about Gear 12 to make sure you get Wat Tambor. But he is a ship. You can take him up higher. It's going to help you out. Nice little character. Let's keep talking about some bugs. Sun Fac is next. As you can see here, still just a Geonosian and a Separatist. Still Gear 12 because that's what we needed for Wat Tambor. But he's a nice little tank for the Geonosian faction. He comes with a ship, which is always nice. Yet again, he's part of the fleet for General Grievous, which is nice. Sun Fac is obtainable through the fleet store and guild shipments. So he is obtainable fairly early using those currencies, depending on what else you're using those currencies for, which is always nice. Because he is a tank, I have him in full health sets. Speed, health, protection. The typical tank mods are what you're going to throw on Sun Fac. He is very nice because on his basic, he's going to dispel all buffs. And if you're familiar with the Geonosians, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but part of their deal is they're constantly assisting, they're constantly attacking. So you can call Sun Fac to assist in a variety of ways, and when he assists, he uses basic, which is clearing buffs. Especially important because it clears taunts, which allows Geonosians to get onto whoever they need to take out. So, part of a super strong team, he is vital. So, make sure you're grabbing Sun Fac through those guild shipments and fleet stuff whenever you can. Very important to the team. Let's move on. Next we have Poggle, who you know is old, wise, and important because he has a cane. And if you don't have a cane, well, you can't be old, wise, and important. I mean, that's just science.
Yes, science!
So the important thing about Poggle here typically is, again, Geonosians call each other to assist a lot. They use their basic, and he has a very strong chance here for the ability block, which is absolutely wonderful if you can keep a bunch of people ability blocked. And really, he's one of the keys to unlocking Wat Tambor in the GOTB battle, because he keeps those ARC troopers and the clone sergeants, everybody can smoke your bugs, ability blocked, which is very, very nice. So, gear 12, because all my bugs are gear 12, because that's what you need for Wat Tambor. No surprise there. He is obtainable through the Galactic War Store, which is nice. You can get those credits very early. Also, 4E hard on light side. So he is obtainable early. He does have a leader tag also, which is kind of nice for Separatist allies to get offense, and droids get a little bit of health recovery whenever they attack out of turn, which Droidica assists a lot, B1 assists a lot. So that's kind of a nice too. I use him in 3v3 Grand Arena as an extra lead with droids, which is very nice. So for his mods, I have him as speed and health. Potency stuff here, like on his cross, is also very good because, again, you want to make sure those ability blocks are landing. But speed, protection, potency, protection. You need him alive. You need him ability blocking. Helps to be fast because speed is king in Galaxy of Heroes, obviously. So let's move on to probably, arguably, the most two important bugs, and we'll start with Geospy. And here is Geospy, our big hitter, our yeet stick.
He hauls off and whacks one. Big hitter. Long.
Of the Geonosian faction. This ability here, his Silent Strike, does an absurd amount of damage. It's not an insta-kill like Darth Nihilus or Mando, but sometimes it might as well be. He hits like a truck with this ability if he's under stealth and he's clearing off status effects. So he can, we're talking like take out Galactic Legend cleanup kind of yeet stick. So it's very hard for me not to hit this upgrade button just because he does some absolutely outstanding damage. Not only that, but he has one of the ships, which is the most important for the General Grievous lineup. He is just a fun, powerful character. You can grab him fairly early in the game also from the Fleet Arena store and also from Cantina 4D. So he's easy to pick up, does a ton of damage, especially when you're modding him correctly, which is going to be crit damage, crit chance, speed, crit damage, offense, protection, offense and defense. This dude is fun. He hits like a truck. I mean, other than ugly, that's about the only thing he doesn't really have working in his favor. So, when you can, grab this guy. He's vital to the Geo lineup. Almost as vital as our last bug here, who's going to be the Geonosian Brood Alpha, so let's dive in. So here he is, the unit that makes the Geonosians tick, and this guy is so crazy, I could basically do an entire video on him. I mean, just going through the kit real quick. Shield Bash, dispel all buffs when a critical hit. Glaive Sweep, dispel all buffs on all enemies and expose them. Then remove 15% turn meter. Conscription, dispel all debuffs on Geonosian allies and summon the Brute if he's not alive. All other stuff, then Geonosian allies gain 15% turn meter and recover 35% health and protection. And the Queen's Will, as long as he's alive, all Geonosians have the Hive Mind buff, which is a unique for every single one of them. That's going to give bonuses for all of them.
One for all for one.
It's absolutely crazy. And his leadership, which is pretty much when you're running a bug team, the only leadership you're going to use, all allies have 15,000 health and protection and 50% health steal. They also recover 3% protection when they use a basic ability. How often do bugs use basic abilities? All the time, because they keep assisting. It's absolutely crazy. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, basic abilities of Geonosian allies deal 10% more damage for each buffed enemy. That's assuming he hasn't cleared all their buffs. This guy is crazy. That was a good rant. All right. I have him at gear 12. Again, all my bugs are gear 12. I would love to have him at gear 13. Trust me, but just hasn't been in the cards yet. The only real downside to Geonosian Brood Alpha, he has a very late farm at Cantina 8D, which is a bummer. But he is a tank. But because he has all those buff dispels and everything, you want some speed on him too. So if you want to throw all health on him, Well, I guess he's technically a support. He might as well be a tank. But I have him in health and speed, as are a lot of characters. Speed, protection, tenacity, protection, offense and defense. You want him a little quick, but you want to make sure he's up and running and able to make some of those big plays. So 95% of the time, he is leading the Geonosians. He's absolutely outstanding. He can also be used as plug and play for like Sith Eternal, just to have somebody, because regardless of what lineup he's in, he's summoning that Geonosian Brute, which is a tank. It taunts. So he can keep focus off a main character. So Sith Eternal can use him. He'll have an extra tank brought with him. Any Galactic Legend, really any team. So he is a little plug-and-play flexible, even though if you remove him from that Geonosian lineup, then the Geonosians themselves are going to suffer quite a bit. So this guy's just crazy good. Run him with the bugs as much as possible, and he's going to make them infinitely stronger. Again, especially in an early team in Grand Arena and Squad Arena, this is just a nightmare team to contend with. So Queen's Will is going to be the first Zeta you want in there, so you're making sure at the start of the encounter you summon the Geo Brute right away, because he's going to taunt, and that's going to help out a whole lot. Especially unlocking Padme early. This team's just crazy. So now that we've talked about some of the wild cards and our bugs, let's go ahead and talk about really the last remaining faction inside of the Separatists, which are the Droids. So here we have Magna Guard, General Grievous's valet, bodyguard, general assistant. I don't know what all he does. A little bit of everything, probably. But he is a pretty solid character for the droid Separatist lineup, especially because on his basic, he has a chance to inflict target lock. And target lock is kind of what keeps the droids moving. It's what begins their turn meter train. On his unique ability, he also gets extra General Grievous and Separatist droid abilities, which is always nice. He's needed at Relic 3 for gas. Well, he's recommended at Relic 3 for gas. I actually have him up at Relic 5 because I use the General Grievous team for the Challenge Rancor raid. So I don't know if I recommend 5. Depends on what you're doing for the Challenge Rancor raid. He's a very solid character, but he does kind of fall off on viability later in the game. He's farmable through Cantina 3C and 6E, so he has 2 nodes, so he is farmable relatively early. He is a tank, so I have him in full health. I've seen a lot of people put him in full defense sets too, but typical stuff here. Health, tenacity, health. Keep him up and running, keep him taunting, keep him moving. He pairs well with Grievous. He helps the droids get up and running. His AoE here can also dispel all debuffs on Separatist allies and going to give General Grievous speed up, which is nice. So he has some nice abilities. A solid tank. He's not going to knock anybody's socks off, but he is very, very usable, especially with the rest of the Separatist droids, which we're going to continue talking about. So let's move on to Droidica. Here we have Droidica, one of the big hitters.
Big hitter
In the game, especially when used with Separatist droids, who has a very, very unique kit. A lot of characters you want to be really fast inside of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. But as you can see here, we don't have any speed mods because it's very kind of strange here. So he has this one that's going to deal true damage on his first special, and on his basic here, he's going to do more damage and ignore defense if the target has a higher speed than Droidica. And when you turn on the deflector shield, as long as he has damage immunity, he's going to get negative 50% speed, which his basic not only deals more damage if he's slower, but scales based on the difference in their speed. So he's going to be pretty quick. He's going to activate that deflector shield, which is going to dump his speed. But then again, when he does hit, especially a very fast character, he is going to hit very, very hard. So a very interesting kind of unique kit, but he does hit very hard. When you put the Zeta on him, he assists a lot, which is very, very nice because he's very slow. He's assisting with his basic. You guys can see where this ends, and it ends with the other team in a coffin. So he's recommended at Relic 3 for the gas event. I have him up at Relic 5, again, because of the Challenge Rancor raid. I do not regret it, even though at the absolute top end of General Grievous teams, he typically subs out for Wat Tambor. But I use my Wat Tambor with Sith Eternal, which means my Droidica gets to hop right back in there, which is nice. For his mods, offense and health sets, speed, crit damage, protection, health. I wouldn't even blame you if you took that speed out and tried to put in an offense or something there. Farming is a little bit later in the game again, which is unfortunate. 8B, hard light side. He only has one node, which is definitely a bummer, but can be a very fun character that hits very, very, very hard. So he is one of the best parts of the droid team, in my opinion. Some people don't use him as much. That's fine. They don't have to. I like him. So let's go ahead and move on. Here's our B2 Battle Droid, which I can kind of sum up his kit here pretty easily. He has these 2 uniques. He's going to gain 40% chance to gain 100% turn meter whenever another ally is evaded or damaged by an attack. And then this one, 40% chance to reduce its cooldowns by 1 whenever a Separatist ally is evaded or damaged in an attack. And Mowdown. So he's constantly going to be gaining turn meter and resetting his cooldowns, and his Mowdown deals damage to all enemies, dispels all positive status effects on them, and has an 80% chance to put buff immunity for 2 turns. So he's getting a lot of turns. He's getting a lot of AoE where he's putting on buff immunity. This dude is very annoying on defense. Very awesome if he's on your team. Again, Relic 3 recommended for the gas event. I have him up at 5 for the reasons I've already discussed. Farming him, kind of late, only 1 node, and in Cantina 6D, so he's not going to be one of the first characters you roll with. You're going to want potency and tenacity mods on him because you want him taking those turns. You don't want him stunned, you don't want him out of combat, and you want to make sure you're getting that buff immunity and target lock stuff to stick. So we got speed, protection, tenacity, of course, protection, defense, and offense. Kind of what you would assume for a character you need up and running and placing his debuffs out there. Absolute cornerstone to the Droid Separatist lineup, almost as much as B1, who we're going to talk about next. And here's the B1 Battle Droid, who unfortunately is a very late farm in the 5B Heart of Fleet Battle, which is very frustrating and annoying to get to when you're early on in the game. But this dude is very key to the Droid Separatist lineup. Again, 2 uniques. This one, he is constantly assisting using his basic, which his basic has all droid allies recover 5% of the leader's max health and protection, which is usually going to be General Grievous, and you're going to put a ton of health and protection on him. Also, his second ability here, Blast Them, it's going to heal target Separatist ally for 0.5% health and protection for each stack of droid battalion. So the stacks are going to go up and down. You'll get more familiar with it as you use his kit, but keep the stacks on him. He's constantly healing, constantly keeping the team attacking, constantly assisting. This dude is just really important to the Droid Separatist lineup. We're going to throw him into potency and our good old crit damage here. We got speed on the arrow, offense, health, defense, and offense. We want all the offense because, again, he is constantly assisting, which is absolutely wonderful. So, late farm, unfortunately, but really, really great paired with General Grievous and the rest of the droid lineup. So, now that we've talked about the rest of the droids, let's hop in and talk about the Metalloid monstrosity, the leader of the Droid Separatists himself, General Grievous. Here he is, the weird, coughing, living creature, yet 98% droid thing guy. That's great. General Grievous is really powerful. Really, oh, there he goes, hacking up COVID, dude. Hacking up, but really important, really powerful. So, he's Relic 7 required for Jedi Master Kenobi. Dump gear into him, no regrets. He's also a fleet commander for the Separatist ships, which is a outstanding fleet that you can use. As I said, for his mods, health, with speed, crit damage, offense, more health, because again, we're passing out some buffs to the rest of the team, some healing based on his health and protection. He is obtainable through the shard store, which is a little weird and nice. You can also pick him up in the fleet store, and some achievements will give you General Grievous shards. So I don't want to say he's a very late farm, not necessarily a very early farm, kind of depends on how and where you want him. But he does a ton of damage. He does mark other people so he can continue sticking around and doing that damage. His leadership here is pretty nice for droid separatists only. His AoE does a ton of damage. His skittering horror does a ton of damage. This guy's kit is nuts. He's nuts. It's a very strong separatist droid team that you can compile using this dude. So that's General Grievous in a very little nutshell. Again, he's another character I could make almost an entire video on, and who knows, maybe I will someday, especially if somebody wants it. So there you go, guys. There is the Separatist faction in a nutshell. This is one of the most important factions in the game, really. I mean, I'm pulling up the list here again, and Grievous for JMK, Jango, JMK, Watambor, JMK, Dooku, Sith Eternal, and Lord Vader, B2 Super Battle Droid, Gas, B1, Gas, Droidica, Gas, Geo Brood Alpha, and the rest of the Geo team, Watambor, Magna Guard, Gas, Newt Gunray, Lord Vader, Asajj Ventress, Gas. I mean, all of these characters, and not to mention Padme. Padme you can unlock with any separatist. So this whole faction is just absolutely necessary. If you're free to play, I don't even really know where to tell you where to start farming. Maybe the bugs, just because they're a little more accessible, but it depends on what you're going for. Because if you're going to go for a gas farm right away, then you're going to go ahead and go with your droids. They're a little harder to get, but they're a really good, really strong team. So it's really hard to go wrong with the Separatists, other than maybe Asajj. You know, as you can see here, I wish I had a higher Newt Gunray on this account, but he's just one I haven't quite fit in there, especially for 3v3 leader. Asajj I got just high enough for gas, and I don't really have a Night Sister team, which is unfortunate. But other than that, I mean, gear 12 and higher on these guys. Really strong faction across the board, really fun faction across the board, really annoying teams to take out. If you're the enemy, you can throw them on defense. General Grievous takes out Sith Eternal on offense. I could talk about these guys all day long. Really solid across the board. Make sure you guys are grabbing Separatists. Not to mention General Grievous's fleet and the ships. They're just, I could talk about them all day. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Hopefully you guys learn something. Any questions, comments, concerns, your thoughts on the Separatist faction, make sure you throw them in the comments section below. Please subscribe to the channel. It's going to allow me to make more videos just like this one. Give me a big thumbs up if you like this one. Check out my other guides on the Jedi and the Bounty Hunters that I've already completed. I'm going to try to keep these coming out to talk about other factions. All that being said, guys, as always, have fun, good luck. See you on the holo tables.
So I got that going for me, which is nice.